Hey, hello. This is the second episode I've ever done. I'm hoping I can do it in one shot because I don't know how to edit this. I realized that last time I didn't show you how to end your thread, which is kind of important. So I'll show you how I do it. This is the same piece that we had before. I'm sorry for my voice if it's a little different. I've been sick. Not with COVID. I tested. It's just bronchitis, I think. So, as you can see, we have the ending here. So, I cut my thread a little short. You're going to want it to be a little longer than this, probably, if you're like me. But you're just going to tuck this underneath one of those threads. And then when you pull it through, for one thing, you can pull it through as many times as you want. But what I like to do, I put a knot, and what you do is you just slip it right through that circle and tie it tight. So again, you're going to go under the last place that you stitched, or honestly wherever. You're going to make sure you have enough thread, and then you're going to take it through that loop. And I think it's on either side. I hope it is, because that's what I've been doing. And if you're still not confident, you can like weave it back and forth through the stitches that you already have. That's what I like doing. Or you can even put just a little bit through the fabric, just a little pinch, to where it's not noticeable. And that's how you tie it off. And then after that, this is my new stitch minder, or needle minder, my bad. I'm used to crochet terms, which I'm terrible at. You're just going to cut it as close as you can without it being completely gone, because then it'll just unwind. And then you throw the thread away. Now what I wanted to show you today is, for one thing, how to separate your thread. Because I remember in the beginning, nobody taught me how to do that, and it would just get tangled. And I'm also going to try to teach you satin stitch, if my voice holds out. So to separate your thread, we have a strand here that's only 2 strands. And typically your floss is going to come in strands of 6. So what you're going to do, you're going to separate one strand from it. Like that. You're going to separate them. You're going to grab one strand, you're going to grab it pretty firmly, and you're just going to slide it down through there. And you're going to have one strand here, or 5 strands, I guess. If you are doing the full strand. I was just grabbing a color, so it ended up being 2 strands. And you're going to set this to the side. And then you're just going to extend as far as you can.
Did you write that address?
And you're going to do this. You're going to double it over, like you saw in the first video. You're going to grab your needle, and if I can possibly thread it without a needle threader, that would be great. Yes, okay. And you're going to have a double strand. Now, let me flip this over to the front of it. To do the satin stitch, it's basically a back and forth stitch to fill things in, and it's very important. So let me get it to where you can see it here. Sorry, I'm still not used to the camera. So you're going to go from side to side. And you can go whichever direction you want, but it's honestly just what you feel like starting out with. And actually, let me turn this around so the camera can see it a little better. So, I don't think that's any better. Fuck. Okay, well, anyway, we're gonna try our best. What you're gonna do, you're gonna start as close to that line that you made for the outline. This is where my needle is, as you can get, because it's going to prevent there being big white spaces. And you need to have this in a hoop, by the way. I'm just doing this because I was not prepared, and I guess I suck at tutorial videos. But we can still do it. So you're going to come straight across from that, like so. And you're just going to pull it through gently, because in the back we haven't anchored it yet. So you're going to go to the back, and you're going to do what I first taught you, where you pull it through just enough to have that loop, and then put it through that loop and tighten it. And I didn't get close enough to the bottom, as you can see. Well, actually you can't see. It looks pretty good on camera. We're just gonna ignore that I said that, okay? You're gonna go right up next to that stitch, as close as you can possibly get it, both to the back stitch you did and to the previous stitch. My needle's right here. Ow. Okay. You're gonna just pull that through, and you're gonna put it right back down as close as you can get it to the previous stitch across the shape. And it takes forever, honestly, for you to fill it in. But that is embroidery. Honestly, everything takes way too long. And I don't know why I do it, because I just end up getting frustrated. But here we are. So you're just going to take it and go across again, as close as you can get it. Push it through and pull all of it through, and you're gonna have a little filling going, which there are other ways to fill, which hopefully I'll get to later. And I'm not good at it. I'm not fast at it. I don't claim to be. But it's kind of a zen thing. You kind of just get into it after a while, I guess. I have ADHD, so it's kind of hard for me to settle down and just do embroidery, but when I do get in the mood, I kind of hyper focus on it, and it helps me get things done sometimes. But as you can see, we're just making, it's like coloring. It's just you go from one side to the other, and eventually you get enough color in there that, you know, it actually looks like color. And the thing with satin stitch is you're not going to want to do a large area in it, because once you start doing that, your thread starts collapsing on itself when the fabric gets unstretched and stretched. And you can probably hear my cat right now. He wants attention. So satin stitch is a lot of people do it for long distances, but for newbies I wouldn't recommend it. It's just one of those things that is difficult to ultimately fill something in with if it's a long distance. I wouldn't, they say not to do longer than 1 inch in satin stitch. I don't know the measurements. I've done it in longer stitches before because I'm lazy and wanted to get it over with faster. But also, I wasn't supposed to do that. And there are other ways to fill things, such as the long and short stitch, which is a form of satin stitch, I think. But, it's not quite the same. So, yeah, that's satin stitch, and I've been going really slow. If you have it in a hoop and you're not talking and trying to focus at the same time, like me, it will go faster, but barely. Unless you're like, super speedy Sonic or something. But, yeah, eventually it will end up filling it in. And when it does, you just tie it off like you would the other that I just taught you. And, yeah. I don't know what kind of shape we're making here. It's like a weird J thing, but, it was just easier to teach you with the one that I already made. So, kind of looks like a boob. Kind of like a weird, strange, straight down boob. Anyway, when you're done, flip it over as usual, run it through that loop, tighten it, and then just weave your way through. What I do is weave through the back stitches that you've done around the outline, because they're typically tighter, and if you weave through the satin stitch, it's gonna be loose. And the thing with satin stitch is it does take a lot of thread, and there are ways to shorten it. As an example, you would go up, and then you would go directly over and then back down, and then directly over and then back down. But with most fabric, the holes do count, and a lot of times you'll end up coming out of that same hole that you put it in and end up just making a big hole in your fabric, or at least I do, because I'm not like very good at that method. And if you want to save thread, that is the way to go about it. But honestly, most people I've seen just do it this way. And it may waste quite a bit of thread because you're going to have as much on the back side as you are on the front side. But it's just easier, honestly, to go back and around. If you know what I'm talking about. I really hope I'm doing this right. I don't know. But that's the lesson for today. And next time, I guess I will try a different kind of filler called a chain stitch, which is my personal favorite. It kind of helps with fur texture, but I like to use it for just about everything, hair, whatever. And yeah, that's just how you tie it off, and that's how you do the satin stitch, which is a very important stitch if you intend on filling things in. So thank you again for watching, or I hope I helped. These bands are nausea bands. My medication makes me nauseous. They have a little plastic thing for a pressure point, and you'd think they wouldn't work, but I recommend them. If you were wondering, because I actually had a few text messages asking me what was on my wrists. So, thank you for watching, and hopefully I will do more of these videos, and if not, maybe I taught you a place to start. So, thank you.